Welcome to our Talent Talk series, where we bring you all things talent related, not only from our perspective as a specialized recruiting firm, but also from the perspective of the thousands of business leaders and candidates we speak with every year. We all have talent challenges, regardless if you're a startup or a Fortune 500. I'm Mandy Resmondo, Corporate Vice President of Landrum Talent Solutions. Joining me today is Melissa Haid, our Vice President of Delivery, and Lisa C. Lisa is the founder of Element C, where she provides executive coaching, team effectiveness, and career counseling. Today's conversation is all about coaching, when, why, and how to make it work in your organization. So thank you, Lisa and Melissa, for being with us today. Good to see you both. Let's get started by Lisa, share with us, just a better understanding of why you think this topic is really important right now.
Yes, thanks again for having me to talk about this. I think the importance of it really just has to do with the complexity of our lives, both at work and personally. Employees are coming to work with many burdens, and companies are dealing with a lot of challenges. And so what coaching can do, whether it's provided by a leader to their employee or by an external coach, can really help that employee become more self-aware. It can heighten their engagement in what they're doing. It can boost their accountability, and just really help organizations drive the change that they're after. So I just really see it as a way to enhance the performance of our most valuable asset, our people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
When do you think the right time to bring a coach in is if you're an organization and you're considering this?
Mm-hmm. In my experience, I've found that there could be a lot of things prompting the desire for a coach. A couple of things I've seen are that an employee is ambitious and capable, but maybe is taking on some new challenges that they haven't had before, and they need some additional support. For example, they're taking on a leadership role and they haven't led people before. That could be an opportunity for a coach to just really be side by side with them in the day-to-day challenges of managing people. I've also seen it where teams have very aggressive goals to accomplish and maybe are having a hard time just getting to the level of effectiveness that they need to be at to accomplish these things. And so really the area of team coaching is starting to become more and more prevalent in companies where teams could benefit from having a coach. And if you think about it, you wouldn't put an athlete out on the court or out on the field without some kind of coaching. It's the same kind of concept where you're just really committing some resources, whether it's your own internal leaders who are coaching your people or an external coach to enhance their performance.
Yeah. We also have seen a trend, and we have the opportunity to offer coaching as part of the new hire onboarding package for senior level roles. And then also, to your point, even if there's somebody internal for somebody possibly more junior, and have seen just a huge difference as far as like cultural assimilation and success in their roles. So I think that it's definitely important, and it's a great overview of why you should bring in a coach as well.
Yeah, I think the first 90 days of a new employees or an employee in a new job, either way, those are so critical. The person is making impressions in all of those 90 days, and oftentimes they're stumbling and fumbling through it because they haven't been properly equipped, and that's no fault of the organization. Many times they're just trying to get a vacant position filled. They've got the person in the role. They're thankful to have the person, and they forget that there are lots of things that person needs to be successful. So one thing I think coaching can do is help the person be their own advocate for what they need during their onboarding process. and to seek it out, to create their own onboarding plan that they can then go to their boss and say, these are the things that I need to effectively assimilate. And it takes the pressure off the boss and the leader and puts the responsibility on the new employee. But meanwhile, they've got some support in the background helping them through it.
Yeah, I think those are all great points.
Yeah. And I love your comment too about the team effectiveness piece and making coaching accessible and available to employees within the organization, not just the most senior level, right? I think that's important. And that's kind of a trend that we're seeing too, as organizations are thinking about just the retention piece and the attraction of talent. So I really, appreciate your focus and comment there about the team effectiveness piece.
Yeah, I think retention is critical and also succession planning. So where I've seen team coaching be effective with more junior people is that as they start to see that the organization is invested in them, and well, then their loyalty and their engagement grows, and therefore that leads to higher retention typically. But also, you have this opportunity to start growing these individuals for future positions by providing them with coaching services at a time when they're really hungry for it and they view it as a part of the employment value proposition, if you will. And sometimes employees don't see it that way, but I like to remind coachees that whether it's in a group or individually, that many times the organization is making that investment in them because they see them as having a lot of potential. And sometimes that's all a person needs, is to feel like they believe in me and they'll give me the resources to be successful. And from there, performance can really shine and sometimes turn around when it hasn't been what it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking as an organization, how should an organization work with a coach? How would we integrate that into our development strategy?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways, obviously, depending on your business goals. I've worked with organizations that want everyone on their team to receive some kind of development, and we've utilized a group coaching approach in that instance. I've worked with other organizations that have select individuals on their succession plan that they want to develop. And so they, start early with dedicating a coach to that person to help prepare them for a future position. So I think all coaches that are strategic and are true business partners are going to want to know what the organization's strategy is, why they are wanting to develop their people, and what's the end goal. Because in the end, it is about both developing the person, but also accomplishing the goals of the business.
And attaching that ROI to it, right?
Yeah,
like there
completely.
Certainly is an ROI to doing that. So
yeah, and I think ROI is such a great topic because sometimes people think things like coaching or training are soft skills or soft offerings that can't be measured. And, I work with clients to identify, what would a change look like for you? And I've had a client say one time that, I won't think about work the entire weekend. And that allows me to come back on Monday and be refreshed and interested in being here versus being resentful, And so as we talk and understand, like, how much of this past weekend did you think about work? That's the measure, but the way it turns up in terms of ROI is that she's pleasant to be around. People want to engage with her. They don't dread asking her a question, and she's a very well regarded but sometimes prickly person with others in the organization. And that was really just due to the stress that she was facing. So coaching really helped her to identify what was triggering that stress, to come up with some different behaviors to respond to it, and accountability to those goals. So I think that's another benefit of a coach is just the focused attention on that one person, whereas leaders have many that they are trying to support. A coach can really help on some laser focused goals and work with the organization to make sure that they're aligned to what the organization needs from that person to accomplish their goals.
How would you say that, like, if somebody is considering utilizing a coach, how do you find the best fit? Like, it's a relationship, most definitely. So, what should companies look for when they're selecting a coach or anybody who is going to be the coachee?
I think when organizations are looking for a coach, I would recommend that they look for someone who is certified through the International Coach Federation. Coaching is like many other areas where it can be misunderstood, and there are specific competencies within coaching that have to do with the ethics of coaching, confidentiality, privacy, listening, skills that that coaches who are certified, they're trained in. And so I would recommend that. I think a lot of times people ask me, does the coach need to have a certain kind of industry background? And I've heard both sides, both answers to that, yes and no. Good coaches can coach in any environment. So I think what organizations need to look for are what the coach's approach is to understanding their business, to working with clients, to managing confidentiality, to measuring results. And then they just need to talk to a variety of coaches to find the right culture fit for their organization, because I've definitely seen very well qualified coaches who maybe just don't fit in certain cultures, myself included. There's just certain cultures and leaders who are in those cultures at the time where I might be a better fit at that time. And one coach that I really have a high regard for, she always offers several coaches to a potential client to have a chemistry kind of call with, to determine who is the best fit, because many times all other things may be equal in terms of certification and experience and things like that, but certain people just fit well with certain other people. And so I would encourage that the fit needs to be there, and the client, the coachee, needs to feel like it's a safe place where they connect well with the coach, and not just be told, here's your coach. That tends to have a hit and miss result.
Yeah, I mean, it is, Melissa said too, it is that relationship, right? You're going to be very vulnerable and be sharing a lot of kind of, things that you necessarily wouldn't want out in the public or broad, audience. So you definitely want to find someone that you have that chemistry with, that you feel that you can trust. So thank you. And as we come into wrapping up our conversation today, Lisa, what's one piece of advice you'd give a leader who's never worked with a coach before?
I think just being open to what's possible, and being willing to experiment with new things, new behaviors, new ways of communicating, new ways of thinking about themselves in particular. I think so much of what coaching can reveal is deeper awareness in an individual. And so if someone is willing to take a look at themselves and think about what's possible, I think the lens becomes wider for them in terms of what's available. When somebody's only focused on maybe they suspect there's an ulterior motive, that they've been given a coach or something like that, they kind of lose what's possible because they're not as open and willing to be self-aware. So I would just encourage people to look at it as an opportunity to get to know themselves better, to enhance some skills that they'll either use in that environment or another environment someday.
Yeah.
And to just make it the experience that they want it to be, because they can co-create that with the coach. There's no one recipe for this or framework. One benefit of coaching is honestly that the client gets to set the agenda. It's kind of one space where it just gets to be about them.
Right.
And that's really unusual in today's world. So I'd encourage them to take advantage of that time just for them.
Yeah. And first and foremost, be open and be coachable, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate both Lisa and Melissa being here on this call today, and for the insightful conversation that we've had. If you want to connect with Lisa or any of us, you can find us easily on LinkedIn, and we will see you on our next Talent Talks edition.